The Edmund Fitzgerald lies in two large sections on the floor of Lake Superior. The bow rests upright. The stern sits inverted, torn from the forward structure. Between them is a long field of debris. The wreckage was first documented in the months after the sinking. Later expeditions produced detailed imagery. None of them revealed a single, definitive cause. Instead, they left investigators with several competing explanations. Each theory carries evidence. Each carries uncertainty. One of the earliest theories centers on the storm itself. The November gale that struck Lake Superior was powerful even by the standards of the Great Lakes. Winds gusted at hurricane force. Waves rose in steep, confused patterns. Swells reached heights that exceeded the measurements taken by weather buoys. Mariners who survived that storm described conditions they had rarely seen. Walls of water rose in quick succession with little time for recovery between impacts. Some called them towering seas. Others called them plunging seas. Both descriptions underline a lake in chaos. Under this theory, the ship simply encountered a wave that exceeded its design limits. A single wave, or a series of waves, could have driven the bow underwater. Once the bow buried into a trough, water pressure and cargo weight might have forced the hull downward. Damage would follow in seconds. The final radio transmission from the vessel mentioned no alarm. There was no call for assistance. This silence aligns with a rapid structural failure. It suggests the crew had little or no time to respond. Another theory focuses on cargo loading. The ship carried taconite pellets, a dense and heavy material. If the cargo was unevenly distributed or shifted during the crossing, stresses could have concentrated along the hull. Investigators reviewed loading records. They also examined the ship's performance on similar voyages. There is no clear sign that the cargo was improperly loaded on its final trip. Still, some experts argue that heavy ore combined with violent wave action could weaken structural elements that were already under maximum strain. A third theory examines the possibility of shoaling. Lake Superior contains long underwater ridges. One of these rises near a stretch of water known for its unpredictable currents. The storm pushed many vessels off their usual courses that night. If the Edmund Fitzgerald passed over a shallow area at full steam, the hull might have struck the ridge. Even a brief impact could deform a plate or rupture a seam. Supporters of this theory note that the ship reported taking on water earlier in the voyage. That report remains one of the few clues transmitted by the crew. Among the more detailed theories is the idea of hatchway vulnerability. The cargo hold was sealed by heavy steel covers secured with clamps. In calm weather, these covers kept water out with ease. In storm conditions, however, the clamps required careful fastening. If even a few were loose or damaged, waves striking the deck could send water below. Investigators reviewed the hatch clamps found on the wreck site. Some appeared damaged, others were missing. Whether this damage occurred before or after the sinking is unknown. If water entered the cargo hold in large quantities, it would have reduced buoyancy rapidly and with devastating effect. Structural fatigue is another factor often discussed. The ship had spent 17 years on the Great Lakes. It carried millions of tons of cargo over that time. The stresses of repeated loading and unloading, combined with frequent heavy weather, placed strain on its frame. Inspections throughout its career noted no severe flaws. Even so, long-term fatigue can weaken steel in ways that are not always visible. Under the pressure of a major storm, small weaknesses could accelerate into catastrophic failures. Despite these theories, investigators concluded that no single cause could be identified with certainty. The evidence from the wreck site offered multiple possibilities, but no final answer. The depth of the lake and the condition of the wreck limited the amount of physical inspection that could be performed. The crew left no first-hand accounts. The radio messages offered no warning. The disaster unfolded outside the sight of all other ships. In the years that followed, the mystery became part of the ship's legacy. Families of the crew sought closure. Mariners studied the incident to improve safety practices. The shipping industry adopted new standards for storm reporting, hull inspections, and hatch securing. These changes reflected lessons drawn from the disaster even without a definitive cause. Lake Superior kept the vessel and the answers. Divers who visited the site described an environment of stillness. Temperatures near freezing preserved much of the wreck. Light fades quickly at that depth. The bow rises from the lakebed in dim shadow. The stern lies twisted, its machinery exposed. Sand and sediment drift in slow patterns. It is a silent landscape shaped by pressure, water, and time. The Edmund Fitzgerald remains the best-known ship lost on the Great Lakes. It is remembered not only for the scale of the tragedy, but for the uncertainty that surrounds it. The ship was powerful. The crew was experienced. The storm was severe. The lake was unforgiving. These elements intersected in a way that produced the most enduring maritime mystery of the region. Each November, memorials are held across the Great Lakes. Bells are tolled 29 times in honor of the crew. Their names are read aloud. These ceremonies remind listeners that the story is not only about a vessel, it is about the people aboard it. It is about the families who waited for news that never arrived. It is about the mariners who continue to cross the same waters with respect for the risks that remain. The mystery endures because the lake gives no final explanation. It gives no last logbook, no final message, no survivor to recount the final minutes. It leaves only fragments of steel beneath deep water. Theories rise and fall like the waves that once surrounded the ship. None can claim absolute certainty. In that uncertainty lies the quiet power of the story. It is a reminder that despite engineering, experience, and preparation, nature retains the final word. Today, the ship rests under federal protection. All expeditions have ceased. The site is treated as a grave. The lake floor remains undisturbed. Above it, shipping lanes continue to operate. Freighters pass through the same corridors of wind and water. Their crews carry the memory of those lost. They navigate with improved instruments and updated charts. Yet they know that Lake Superior can still produce storms with the same force that claimed the Edmund Fitzgerald. The story continues because the questions remain. What wave rose from the dark? What seam opened under pressure? What force acted in those final moments? These questions will likely never be answered. The lake holds the truth. It holds it in cold pressure and unbroken silence. This is where the investigation ends, and this is where the mystery begins.